Hello everybody and welcome to Pit Road Productions, and it's going to be a absolute debut for us here today. We're doing the No Limit Racing. It's a dirt oval series, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a debut for me as certainly as a commentator. It's a debut for Pit Road Productions, and actually not a debut for our friend Rhys here. Very seasoned here in the dirt oval discipline, and it's good to have these guys on the channel. Certainly very last minute, personal record here, an hour from conversation to show, actually less than that. So definitely taking it by the seat of our pants on this one. But Rhys, tell us a little bit about the strategy we're going to be heating here today at Lanier.
Yeah, absolutely. Lanier National Speedway. It was obviously on the iRacing service as an asphalt oval for quite some time, but the real life track closed down, and when the dirt side of iRacing came to fruition, they covered Lanier with clay and made it a dirt oval, and it's one of my favorite dirt ovals on the entire service. It is wide, it is fast, and it's going to be a lovely suited track for these pro late models that the drivers are racing tonight. This is the sort of mid-tier of late model racing. You have limited, pro, and super. Well, these ones don't have quite as much power, but they certainly race very nicely. You definitely need to make sure that you have the grip through the corners, because you're not going to have that power to compensate.
Well, certainly it sounds like a lot of fun. It was definitely a little bit of a shocker here for me when I'm reading about this car. I think it's got 2 gears, and then you got like 3 different stages of power. There's like a 400, like a 600, and then like an 800 horsepower V8. Like absolutely balmy performance. But certainly I can see your face, you're already absolutely buzzing with excitement. Certainly myself, it's a new wheelhouse for me, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Certainly a huge shout out to the sponsors that have made this possible as well. I gotta say, incredible job by Mo to gather these sponsors. We're gonna get a bit more into that very shortly with Double Apex there. What is this brown stuff? I'm sorry it's not me on this occasion, Rob, but certainly him joining in on the chat. But Rhys, you know, maybe give us a little bit of advice here for these drivers as we take a look at their practice sessions right now.
Yeah, so the format for tonight is going to be a straight-up 35-lap race. We're not going through heats and consolation races because there are 6 drivers in the session, so not the biggest of fields. That means that they're going to be racing over that 35 laps. The race is not going to take very long, it should be said, because a lap around here is only about 13.5 seconds when the track is worn in. But caution laps do not count. So if there's a problem, if drivers come together, the safety car will come out and the race will basically be paused. You still have to complete 35 green flag laps in this race. So what the drivers will need to be careful of is how the track evolves. You can see that the track's being worn in nicely for the time being. Few drivers have been running the high line in practice to try and get some wear in on that so that there's a bit of grip up high if they so desire. For the most part, I think you're going to be seeing drivers go for the middle line early on as you're seeing in practice, but near the end of the race, that line is going to be slick and it's going to be very much not grippy. So we're going to be seeing a bit of a dichotomy form between the high and the low line as time goes on.
Well, certainly I'm looking forward to all of that making a lot more sense. Certainly I do love to dance on the limit of grip, but certainly in that kind of power range, it's definitely a new one for me. These engines going to be pumping out about 700 horsepower, ladies and gentlemen. So to put that into context, a Toyota Yaris is about 100 horsepower and about 2,200 pounds maybe, I guess. So yeah, this has got 7 times the power and about the same kind of weight. So yeah, definitely the thing's got some beef. It's definitely got some melons behind it, and it's fair to say I'm looking forward to seeing all of them get absolutely smashed here at Lanier.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy the fact that I've been asked to come on board for this because dirt racing is actually quite big in Australia. You know, we have a very active sprint car scene and late model scene as well. So, you know, my experience, especially on the sim side, is going to be put to the test here. I've spent the last few years running, doing stuff for Oceanic Dirt Sim events down here in Australia. And we have an excellent roster of drivers from our part of the world competing, often on the global stage as well. So enough of that from my personal side of things. We keep our eyes here on the practice session as it's over. Mike Henderson is going to be the one that leads the way in practice. And then the drivers will fall into a qualifying session 10 minutes, but everyone only gets 2 laps with which to set their time for the race. And at a short track like Lanier, it's about building up that momentum. The first lap is going to be a little bit slower, so you need to make sure that you're running that high line, keeping the speed up around the outside, and then you can dive to the inside, get the geometric best line around the track for the fastest time possible. Let's see what they can do.
Well, absolutely. We're going to try and find one of these drivers going out on that lap. And let's see if we can get an on board. Certainly, it's definitely out of my wheelhouse, Rhys, but maybe you can give us a little bit of technique, a little bit of commentary here as we see behind the wheel of Dustin Regan.
Yeah, so Regan making his way then out of turns 3 and 4, and you can see how much he's cranking the wheel there. You got to try and feed the rear end into the corners in these cars, and at Lanier, you need to have a car that goes sideways very nicely. If you're wanting to run the line down low, you want a car that's a little bit pointier. Running up high, you want a car a little bit straighter, but you can't tune the aerodynamics in a late model like you can in sprint cars, so it's all down to driving technique, it's all down to setup. For the moment, Dustin Regan setting a 13.48 on his second lap there, and that's going to be him done for the session.
Well, I gotta say, definitely a shorter qualifying format that I'm used to. We've got to say, he's getting the job done right now. Jackson Whittington is currently there. He's currently sat on the pole position, and I gotta say, incredibly close. It looks like just 2,000ths of a second. 200ths of a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't count decimal places today. 200ths of a second between second and third. That's William Kirk and Dustin Regan. So certainly incredibly close between them as well. Mike Henderson currently resting in 6th. We're going to see if he can improve as well. Absolutely incredible format. Certainly, definitely a whole lot of first for me there. And I got to say, these guys rocking some absolutely phenomenal paint jobs.
Yeah, indeed. If you want great paint jobs, the dirt side of motorsport is where it's at. I really love the level of graphic design that you see on dirt racing liveries for cars that are quite simple in their geometric shape. Basically pointy boxes on wheels, but you see some fantastic design work on them. Well, Mike Henderson putting in his times there, 13.3, just behind Jackson Whittington in the 511. That's everybody now having set qualifying times, I believe. Muhammad Ona is our administrator for tonight, has not set a qualifying time. I'm not sure if he's going to be taking to the grid, but it looks like everything is run and done in the qualifying session, and we might be seeing a short end to this session. We'll have to wait and see. But regardless, Jackson Whittington on pole position.
Yeah, your pace was stopped in the middle of the track as well. I'm sure there's some logic behind that, but currently, until the qualifying ends, we are not actually getting the official results. But while that happens, we can give a bit of a shout out, speaking of the paints, to 5-6 Graphics, ladies and gentlemen. They are one of the sponsors here today, and definitely good to have them on board. We're talking about the setups as well. Well, you got Fusion Setup Shop, so definitely if you need a setup, certainly give them guys a shout. And then also as well, that's all very well and good, but you need some hardware to run all of that on. Ladies and gentlemen, P1 Sim Sports is the place to go.
Absolutely. Big thanks to all the sponsors for helping to make this series possible and this broadcast possible here on Pit Road Productions. Well, the race server, the session, has been started, and this is our grid. Jackson Whittington on pole position. He's going to have Mike Henderson joining him on the front row. William Kirk in the number 27 starts alongside the 33 of Dustin Regan. And then we have Kenneth Feeney, last driver on the grid. I believe that Muhammad Ona is not going to be taking it to this grid. So only 5 cars taken to the start of this one, but doesn't matter how many cars there are on the grid. The racing can still be very exciting, and it almost always is on dirt oval.
Well, certainly, again, it's definitely, I think the only experience I've had with dirt oval was actually when I was a kid. I used to go watching what we'd call banger racing, Rhys, and basically you'd get the crappiest, junkiest cars that you could think of, and you'd make them like race legal, and then you'd watch them absolutely race. And the beautiful thing is, they didn't really care. You know, if the car got battered, so be it. They bought another one for £100, put a cage in it, and off you went. And you know what? The lack of care factor can make for some really interesting scenarios on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I think in terms of these late models, I mean, the cars in real life are a bit more expensive than a banger car, but you do need bravery in order to race these properly. The way of approaching a battle is certainly different to what you see in asphalt oval racing, let alone road course racing on tarmac. Going for the move often takes quite a few laps to accomplish, unless you have a massive pace advantage over the guy you're trying to pass. But what you're going to be seeing at a track as wide as Lanier here is drivers trying to defend by potentially running the high line or blocking people's advances in the middle, making sure that they can't pick a high or low line to take advantage of. And the slide job is going to be a massive factor in this too. Just driving deep into the corner, going down low early, and then sliding up in front of your rival on corner exit and stopping them from getting the run they need.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it, Rhys. Certainly, I do love going sideways in a car, albeit, don't get me wrong, I'm not used to being let loose in 700 horsepower. I think that would be a very brave or very foolish person to, I'd say give me the keys for most race cars not actually having keys, but you get the idea. It's the sentiment that's involved here, ladies and gentlemen. And certainly, P1 Sim Sports, this will indeed be fun to watch. Morgan Smith as well, thank you for joining us here in the chat. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a GT3 league, we have one coming very soon. Morgan Smith is the league admin for that, and that's going to be running on a Thursday night, if I remember rightly, 8:50 Eastern.
Yeah, indeed. Pit Road Productions with a lot of shows on the cards coming up soon. 2 formation laps before the race starts around a track like this. The pace truck is pulling away, and Whittington versus Henderson on the front row. See who gets the best start. They are away nice and early as the green flag flies, and we are racing at Lanier. Already going for the middle line is our pole man, Jackson Whittington, but we see a bit of variation further on back, side by side for the 5th and last place on track. Kenneth Feeney and William Kirk side by side. Now, the advantage for the moment is going to be with Kenneth Feeney. He's running the low line, and there's a lot of grip down there at the moment, and that's another aspect of dirt oval racing, Zippy. Usually a pass is not made without a bit of contact.
Well, I'm all for the bump to pass, and don't get me wrong, it's maybe a little bit frowned upon in certain road disciplines, but that's not to say that it stopped me to this point yet. But certainly, some of the cars encouraging that a little bit more than others. You can see an absolutely fantastic slide there from Feeney, but I do feel it lost him a bit of time. He's getting such an aggressive slip angle there. Don't get me wrong, he's getting closer to the corner, but I do wonder if it's costing him some time. But saying that, he's pulling away from William Kirk.
Yeah, it looks like the low line still has plenty of grip. We're seeing a lot of drivers running that middle to low at the moment. Not many drivers trying to select that wide line for the moment. It actually looks like Kenneth Feeney is trying to round up Dustin Regan here. It's been a good run from the number 35, and he is making that low line work very well.
Well, if you're looking for an on-board, ladies and gentlemen, you can see incredibly, it looks actually a little bit cramped in there. It's certainly a very purpose-built race car. As you see Feeney doing everything he can, sliding that car sideways, currently up 1 position. William Kirk, not with the start that he was looking for, but certainly doing everything he can. And certainly I've got a feeling that the 0x contact may be something quite frequently used here in the dirt oval sector.
Oh god, yeah. It's not just in terms of passing other cars, but riding the wall as well. Especially in sprint cars, you see drivers feeding the right rear into the concrete wall on the outside, and sometimes a little bit of a bump can set you on the right trajectory. Well, for now, Jackson Whittington still leads from Mike Henderson, but Henderson has been catching up to him a little bit. They ran the exact same lap time last time by, and now on this last lap here, Whittington about half a tenth quicker than Henderson. So it is a stalemate of a battle up the front at the moment. Not much variation in line to come, but we'll see how much that slick moves in. In more powerful machines like the super late models and the 410 sprint cars, you see that slick line form quite early, but these are pro late models. They produce a little bit less power, and so the track will stay grippier for longer. As into the wall is the number 35 of Kenneth Feeney, and looks to me like the yellow flag has been put out for that.
I'm not quite sure what happened there. I'm getting a flag that everybody has crashed, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly, Oh
That's
dear.
Interesting.
Kenneth Feeney there in the pits. I'm going to see if I can get back and find out exactly what happened there, but certainly not the result he was looking for.
So it looks like Feeney was having a bit of trouble keeping the rear end of the car in check, and he made contact with the outside wall across the start-finish line, and he couldn't get out of the wall. So there's some suspension damage on his car at the moment. He's decided to pull off and maybe get some repairs done, hopefully. Unsure exactly what he'll be able to do from here, though. The benefit is he's not losing any laps to anybody. Of course, laps don't count under caution. We'll keep our eyes peeled here on the car behind him. I think this is about the point where we'll see him get into the wall across the start-finish line. There it is. Yeah, there's the contact, and, well, from that point on, the steering didn't exactly work, so best for him to come into the pits and get some repairs done. But the green flag is out now, and we are back to racing to begin the 13th lap of this race. And have a look at the run here from Dustin Regan. He is pushing Mike Henderson very hard here for P2. Top three nice and close. The track is in a bit of a different state now. You can see those little bits of slick starting to form, I think, in turns 3 and 4 on entry there. You see how much shinier those bits of the track are. That means that the rubber's gone over it. There's, it's a slicker surface, and that means that there's less grip on these treaded tires. It's hotter as well. Remember, it's just like asphalt racing. As the cars go over it, the track surface gets heat put into it, and you get a little more slippy slidey.
Well, that's certainly my kind of conditions, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, you're saying, more powerful cars. I'm sorry, Rhys, but 700 horsepower, how much do you want? Don't get me wrong. I appreciate you guys have got some pretty powerful cars down in Australia, but certainly, 700 horsepower, definitely nothing to shake a stick at. If we're thinking about something a bit more powerful, like Ferrari, say like a Ferrari 360, I don't think that even has 400 horsepower, maybe around, 380, 390. Just a rough guess. These guys running almost double the amount of power there.
Yeah, which is paltry by dirt racing standards. We have, the 410 sprint cars producing about 950 horsepower, which is frankly incredible. Lots of speed to be taken in those things. And super late models, we're looking at about 850 to 900 horsepower too. So, yeah, you're right, though. 700 horsepower is nothing to sneeze at. It's just the fact of the matter that it puts a little bit less friction into that clay, and so they can preserve that grip for a bit longer. But you can see that we are now at that point where they need to start searching for grip. You see that the Dustin Regan here is going down low, but Mike Henderson is trying to run the cushion. That's where the grip is. See that boundary between the lighter and darker areas. There's a little patch of cool clay up there that produces a lot more grip. Just a little bit of moisture is enough to provide that grip you need.
Well, certainly, I'm definitely getting an education here. To me, that looked like he went wide, but don't get me wrong, I'm not going to know any better at this point. And certainly, these guys almost tandem drifting for a couple of laps there. Incredibly close right now as we're lap 23 of 35. One caution on the card so far. These guys keeping it incredibly clean.
Yeah, certainly are. Lovely race for second that we're seeing at the moment. But have a look here. Now it's Dustin Regan who's using the cushion, and he's trying to shoot his way out of the corner there. Not quite working. In response, Mike Henderson going a bit low on entry. And see how the gap between them increases down the straight. Yeah, Henderson was trying that high line for a couple of laps and decided it didn't work for him. So now he's going back down low.
Well, certainly, sometimes it's the same, I think, maybe as the roadside. Sometimes you just got to wear your opponent, and if you can get the guy ahead of you to be absolutely obsessed with watching his mirrors, then that could be enough. Certainly, I can imagine these cars being quite susceptible to a little bit of throttle on oversteer, and certainly, if you manage to absolutely fill the rear mirror, that's definitely a distraction. Certainly, if you happen to just get a little bit too keen, a little bit too ambitious on the gas pedal, I can certainly see a little bit of a rotation over-occurring, perhaps, here at Lanier.
Have a look at the amount of slick that's on the entry to the corners now. That's going to really make the rear end go around. They need to try and manage that. You see how there's a little gap of not shiny clay in between that and the cushion? Well, that's exactly where you want to run if you want to get the best line. Either that or you run the wall down low. That's what you need to do. And Mike Henderson's trying everything he can to catch up to Jackson Whittington here. Dustin Regan is watching on in the background for a coming together between our leaders. We're going to have 5 laps to go at the line. This has been a very interesting race, and I feel a pass for the lead coming very shortly.
Well, certainly, he's definitely working his way up to it with just 4 laps to go. I almost wonder if these guys need to put on a second session after. Certainly, if they want to, by all means, there's plenty of time. Go for it, guys. You're scheduled for an hour-long broadcast. Let's do it again. By all means. Certainly, and even then, with action like this, good, clean, fun racing, you know, why not watch a bit more of it? Certainly, these guys appear to be having fun, as it looks like Dustin Regan in the number 33 car is able to close up a little bit there to Henderson, but now William Kirk potentially coming into the mix. No, he's back. What am I seeing? Is that Kenneth Feeney then? Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah, that's Kenneth Feeney that's found the wall, and if he comes to a stop, there'll be a caution coming out with 2 laps to go. It's going to be a huge, well, this is going to be massive, Zippy. We're going to be seeing a 2-lap dash to the finish.
Well, I've got a very good feeling about this. Certainly, if I was one of the mechanics in the pits, I would be not sharing the same kind of enthusiasm. But certainly, Kenneth Feeney definitely not had the best of luck. I do have to wonder as well what happened to our league admin there, Mo Una. I do wonder, you know, why not get out, get on the track? Certainly, it's great being a league organizer, but we want to see you there on the track having some fun as well. And hopefully, everything is all right on the admin team.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing that the text log in sim shows that Mohammed is throwing the caution flags, so it looks like this is manual race control here, and that's why Mohammed's not out on track, so he can focus on, you know, what's happening in the actual race and throw these cautions manually as they do in the real world. You can set it up to do it automatically, but some league admins like that level of control. Regardless, we're going to be seeing 4 cars try to run for victory here. And Jackson Whittington has dominated proceedings thus far, but one little change, and that could absolutely alter everything. Mike Henderson has been pressuring him. He and Dustin Regan fighting over second. William Kirk, a bit of an outside chance here. And if you keep an eye on Kirk's car, you'll notice that he is missing his right fender. So already with a bit of damage, but a little bit of body damage as par for the course in late model racing. Green flag is out, and we are away. So Whittington's going to lead the way here into this first couple of corners. This is the last lap of the race. Is there anything that Mike Henderson can do? He tries for the slider, but it doesn't work. And across the line, Jackson Whittington wins the first round of the No Limit Racing late models. Dustin Regan trying to go for it at the final corner as well, but there wasn't much more to it. They finish in that order. Man, love dirt oval racing.
Well, actually, something I did just notice, Rhys, is actually quite an eclectic mix of I rating in here as well. So Jackson Whittington, he's currently rocking about 2200 IR. Mike Henderson, 2000. Dustin Regan, despite getting third place, 859 I rating and absolutely able to hang up there with the pro. So absolutely fantastic job by him. Gained 1 position overall in the race. William Kirk, he's rocking about a K with Kenneth Feeney about 1.2 and our league admin Mo there with about 1.6. So a very eclectic mix. Certainly, anybody who's looking to try and get into running a little bit of dirt oval, by all means, give these guys a shout. But I think what we are going to try and do is see if we can get these guys to run a second race. Certainly, you know, that was over very quickly. If they want to run again, I'm absolutely fine to do so.
Yeah, indeed. It's all short, sharp, and instant when it comes to dirt oval racing. You know, when I've done dirt broadcasts in the Australian scene, we've had, you know, 5 heats, a C main, a B main, and a whole warm-up session before an A main, and the broadcast is done within an hour. So, you know, these are very quick nights that you get. Well, those are your results then from the race. Whittington, Henderson, and Regan are your podium. William Kirk also coming to the finish. A retirement from Kenneth Feeney, with Mohammed Ona not taking to the start. I'm happy that I was brought on for this. I needed a bit of a dose of late model racing.
Well, I'm certainly happy to have you here in the booth as well, Rhys, and don't tell anybody, but probably my favourite co-commentator. But you know what? That's just me honestly brown nosing a little bit. But it's fair to say we've definitely got a few shows under our belts here. But I am going to see if Mo is up to set up another race. I'm going to just Rhys, maybe you can send him a PM in the iRacing session. Certainly, if I do it, we're all going to see the iRacing UI, and it's going to look a little bit trashy, which is not really the look I'm going for. But while you do that, let's just say absolutely fantastic first experience here for a Dirt Oval League. And not only that, No Limit Racing, I've got to say, huge hats off to him. Certainly, it's definitely been a lot of fun so far. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see him here, certainly for the season. And I got to say as well, very, very clean racing. And certainly, I'm trying to picture this with, 20, 30 cars on the track at once. Is that something that can happen, Rhys? Or is this just me having absolutely lunatic ideas of pure chaos?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time in the big leagues. The entire existence of heats and consolations is to set the grid for the feature. And in the Australian Sprint Car Championships that I commentate, the grid size is 24 for the feature. But I've seen dirt races with 50 cars, and that is absolute chaos on a short oval.
Well, that definitely sounds like my kind of fun. Certainly attrition there in a 50-car field is something to shake a stick at, but then to do that in a dirt oval course, yeah, that's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I do wonder, So, ladies and gentlemen, now, if you want to get involved in dirt oval, definitely give these guys a shout. Certainly, No Limit Racing, look them up on iRacing. The league is there, it is recruiting, and they'd love to have you on board. Certainly, I'd love to see you guys come on. And let's actually see if we got anybody here ready for an interview. Not at the minute, don't get me wrong, it's round one, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit last minute that we've got this show put together, but I've got to say, I'm loving the scenery here at Lanier.
Yeah, indeed. This circuit is literally across the road from your favorite track, Road Atlanta. So
come on.
Yeah, literally is. You can look at it on Google Maps. It is across the road from Road Atlanta. So, yeah, it's a very nice part of the United States that this place is in. And, yeah, some beautiful scenery, fantastic banking on this track as well that really provides some fantastic racing.
Oh, absolutely. And certainly it's got even more fondness now in my heart that the fact that it's literally across the road from my favorite track. Not that I'm biased, but yeah, Road Atlanta's up there. Don't get me wrong, despite Cadwell Park being my home track, it's fair to say that's not the most popular track. It's certainly quite demanding to drive, but that's more on the road side. Now, I am going to give these guys a few minutes to hang out. I've tried to reach Mo, certainly myself and Rhys have tried to reach him. I've tried telling P1 Sim Sports as well to let these guys know, by all means run another one. Rhys, I'm actually going to invite you to their Discord server. I don't know if that's just worked. See if you can get in there, have a word with Mo, see if you can set another one up, and then by all means come back and let me know. We'll keep the show rolling for the minute. And, oh, hang on. Majority of the guys have to do still an interview. Absolutely, Mo. By all means, get yourself in here as well. So, no, it's going to be no more racing for this evening. Certainly, you know what? A lot of the guys have to do. It's definitely a shorter race series than we're used to. But you know what? It was a first as well. And don't get me wrong, if you guys you start getting a bigger field, I've got a feeling we're going to be getting a lot more cautions here. But we are going to wait for these guys just to try and come in for an interview. We'll give them a few minutes to get in. Rhys, certainly, any thoughts on that race from yourself, being the experienced dirt wizard that you are?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing if there's going to be more of this dirt racing on Pit Road Productions, because if there is, I'd certainly be up for it. It's been a fun time, and I need a bit more dirt racing in my life. Of course, I'm the lead commentator for the Australian Sprint Car Championships over on SimSpeed TV, so I get plenty of dirt racing already, but mostly in sprint cars. I'd like to see a bit more from the dirt racing discipline.
Oh, by all means, I would look forward to it. I've actually got a couple of little plans I've been sneaking on the pipeline as well. Rhys, I'll talk to you about those a little bit later, but it looks like the drivers, we have got a couple that are looking to come in for an interview. Certainly Mo, we definitely want to say hi to, especially hear a bit more about the league. And P1 Sim Sports is one of the sponsors. By all means, get in this Discord. Tell us a little bit about your product. I'd definitely like to hear a bit more as well. I'm hearing that you make some incredibly high quality gear, so definitely somebody who I'd like to talk to, and certainly as well tell the viewers about your product. By all means, you're a sponsor. Get in here, promote your gear. We've got the time for it. By all means, there's no reason not to. Come on in.
Indeed. Well, I certainly hope that there will be more drivers taking part as well, because I mean, it was an entertaining race for sure, but how good would it be if there were 10, 15 cars taking part? It would certainly be magnificent indeed. And it actually looks like we have our first driver in for a bit of a chat, the number 33 of Dustin Regan. Tell you what, Dustin, that was looking like an interesting race from you. You managed to get that third place off William Kirk, and you were pressuring Mike and Jackson all the way through. I guess that late caution sort of stymied the run a bit, though.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe a few more laps I could have caught him. I kind of figured out the track halfway through and just not enough laps to make it happen.
Yeah, how is the track in a late model? I certainly know about Lanier in sprint cars, but the wide high banks of this place certainly something in a pro late model.
Yeah, it drives pretty nice, I think, and if you get them long races, it usually ends up being a good 2-lane track, but I think it was moving up high, towards the end of the race, but I like it.
Well, we're hearing whispers that there's potentially an 8-week series on the cards for this. If that continues, are you going to be here?
Yep, I'll be running for points in the league.
Awesome. Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations on the third place, Dustin. Well driven. And yeah, hopefully we get another chance to chat to you soon.
Yep, thanks. Hopefully I'll be P1 next week.
Yeah, definitely. There is a thread of that from Dustin Regan there. And, well...
Whoops.
Welcome back, Zippy.
That's not the first time I've done that. I'm sure it won't be the last. But, Rhys, I understand you've been able to catch up with, I believe he's here. We'll find out in just a second here. Mike Henderson.
Yeah, indeed. Mike, welcome to the comms box. Great battle between you and Jackson for the win there. What do you think could have made it happen for you?
Oh, man, it was Jackson. He's quick. He was quick out there. I mean, I tried everything to keep up with him. I was running that bottom. I mean, there was a lot of dry down there. Couldn't keep up with him, so I switched up to the top, and it was just so slick up there. Jackson, he's just a tough racer. I mean, he had a nearly perfect race.
Yeah, it certainly looked like he was dominant up the front there. But if there are future races here in the late models at No Limit, are there any tracks that you think you'd be able to get him at?
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna try every track. I thought I had a good shot going into 3 and 4. About mid-race, I got right up on him. Then I slipped up a little bit. So I had the opportunity to pass him this race. So hopefully next week I'll get him.
All right. Well, wishing you the best of luck with that, Mike. And congratulations on the second place. It was a very solid drive from you tonight.
Thank you. And I want to give a shout out to No Limit Racing, P1 Sim Sports, and you guys for putting the show on.
Awesome stuff. Mike Henderson there from second place in the podium runnings. And finally, it looks like we're going to be able to have a chat to Jackson Whittington, our race winner here. Pole position to the win, Jackson. It looked simple from outside, but I'm sure that wasn't exactly the case from behind the wheel.
I mean, man, I have too many laps to count here. I mean, this is whenever I started iRacing, that's like the only track I ever ran. Occasionally Lima Land, never touched USA because I didn't know much about it. But it was this and Charlotte. Those were my 2 bread and butter tracks. And I'm happy to say that we're going to Charlotte next week too.
Lovely stuff. I'm a fan of Charlotte as well. It's much like Lanier, isn't it? It's a wide and fast oval with a fair amount of banking, so it really rewards that ability to sort of run the middle when the track is fresh and get that momentum out of the corners.
I think that it's going to be more racy because Charlotte, it'll develop at the top, it'll develop at the bottom. You can run slot, you can run pretty much whatever you want there and still be fast or at least competitive. It's a really fun track.
Awesome. Well, if we do end up broadcasting that here on Pit Road Productions, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and also looking forward to potentially seeing you on the top step once again, Jackson. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Well, Jackson Whittington with a dominant victory there here at Lanier, and looks to me like, Zippy, you've managed to catch up with a couple of others too.
Well, absolutely there, Rhys. Certainly, it's good to get these guys here in the booth. We're going to start actually with Mo. Obviously, the league organizers certainly had a little bit of last minute, a little bit of a last minute rush to get the thing going, and then not only that, he pulled it off. So a huge shout out to him, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic job. But Mo, why don't you take this opportunity to tell us a little bit about No Limit Racing and what we've got to look forward to here in the future.
Definitely. We are a upcoming league, or at least we're hoping to be an upcoming league. We started off as a couple buddies that just kind of started running some dirt oval tracks on iRacing. And for some reason, a couple of us said, you know what, why don't we start a league? Actually, get a couple more guys in here, try to get guys that are a little bit fun to hang around. And now we're here. This is technically our third season. We're, like I said, we're up and coming. Starting to get a little bit more followers. We're mainly on Facebook, but we're kind of hoping to partner up and start getting everything broadcasted to the point that we could grow substantially a lot more.
Well, certainly, I'm going to be wishing you the very best with that, and definitely a first time for me, not just getting the show ready in under an hour, but having a dirt oval here, and actually learning that my commentator joining me in the booth tonight actually right into that. So great stuff, definitely a bonus there for both of us. But Mo, of all people, you will appreciate that we can't do this without sponsors. And I understand we've been able to get P1 Sim Sports here in the commentary booth. Would you mind telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and by all means, absolutely tell us, and infuse us about your product.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Tonight's race was certainly a lot of fun. Thank you for everything you guys did to help bring that off. P1 Sim Sports is a racing simulator manufacturer. We make tailor-made rigs for everybody from sim racing enthusiasts to pro sim racers to real life race car drivers and race teams, as well as event organizers. We've been in business probably for about 8 or 9 months, but we're hitting the street really quickly and starting to grow a great class of customers who love our differentiated approach to getting people race ready in as quickly and as efficiently as you can.
Well, certainly, as a guy who's literally just managed to get a couple of new bits of gear myself, I can definitely appreciate the efficiency side. Certainly, there's a lot more to it than just going, oh, okay, here's a couple of bits of metal, strap them together, put a wheel on it, and you're done. It doesn't work like that, and that's often something that is underestimated. Certainly myself, very much, I just want to get in and go. And to be time has value, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, you know what, this man gets it, and by all means, I definitely want to see some pictures, even some video. Let's see if we can get you an ad video sorted out, because we'd love to run it here during the show, and I'd love to see a bit more of your product. But it's fair to say I'm going to be rooting you all the best, certainly in this new venture. Certainly 8 or 9 months going, and already making a big impact here on the scene in a very competitive marketplace as well. So a huge shout out as well, P1 Sim Sports, but not only that, but for helping make this broadcast possible. And absolutely looking forward to seeing you guys succeed, and not only that, seeing some more of your products here on Pit Road Productions.
Thank you very much. I'd love to work with you to make that happen.
Oh, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, maybe coming onto a much bigger scale, board meeting progressing. But Mo, before we close out this show, any closing thoughts? Maybe tell us a little bit about where we're heading next week.
Yep, so let me go ahead and get the schedule pulled up, and I can give you pretty much our next 7 races that we have on schedule. So next week we will be heading to Charlotte, the dirt track at Charlotte. That is March 11th at 8:30 p.m. Then we're going to be at Cedar Lake the week after that, and then we go to the mid-season championship, which we will be running 50 laps at Eldora Speedway, the notorious Eldora Speedway. Week after that, April Fools, we do go to Volusia Speedway. That will not be a joke, but it should be some pretty good racing. Then we go to Fairbury the week after, Lernerville, and then we finish up with our championship race at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Well, I've got to admit, a lot of names there that I'm not familiar with. Rhys, maybe you should take this one. Fill me in. Am I going to enjoy this? By all means, you know these tracks better than I can, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Fairbury is an incredibly tight circuit, so it's going to result in some very difficult to make passes. I'm particularly looking forward to Lernerville because it's a bit unique in terms of dirt ovals. Turns 1 and 2 have no outside wall, so if you run too high, if you mess up a slide job, you're just gonna go jumping over the berm. It's insane.
Okay, so that sounds like my kind of track. I can literally yeet it off the track. So certainly I won't be driving there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to keep me in the production booth. But ladies and gentlemen, I've got to say what an absolute treat it is to have both Mo and P1 Sim Sports here in the commentary booth. And certainly a welcome treat to have some dirt oval racing here in Pit Road Productions. I'm actually really excited about this. I don't know if I'm as excited about it as Rhys is. He certainly took me for a little bit of a curveball there. But I've got to say a huge thank you to Mo, to P1 Sim Sports, to Fusion Setup Shop, and to the people who make the paints as well. If I just have a quick back look here, there you go, 5-6 graphics, ladies and gentlemen. So I got to say, huge shout out to Mo as well for not only organising the league, but being able to capture some fantastic sponsors as well. Certainly, I got to take a sales class from that man, the legend that is Mo Una. But I think we're just about ready to close it up here. Certainly, we did try and pluck for a second race, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on Pit Road Productions. We're going to be seeing you very soon. Certainly on Monday night, we're going to be back for WDCR Virtual Racing League for a bit more of the M2 action. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the booth today was Rhys, the Southpaw Racer Gardner. And yeah, we'll see you on Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.